Yahoo! Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, to the Aquarian Adepts, our platform to become your spiritual server. And welcome to your daily Adept report for today, Tuesday, July 10th of 2018. Forgive me, I am a little spacey today. That's just because the moon is in Gemini, so yeah, I'm in my head and in my heart at the same time. It's kind of an interesting connection between those two energies. And today's going to be a bit of a more intuitive. I will talk a little bit about astrology, and I do have some cards here, but the message I really want to bring across is that we as a collective are beginning to really learn empathy. Now, we are having to go through some challenges and some difficulties, and it may not seem apparent materially or physically. It may not seem apparent that we are beginning to really learn empathy for our fellow, brothers and sisters. And that includes the animals too. It includes the entire world. And yes, it seems like some people just don't give a damn. It seems like there are some people that are really just out for their own gain. And that may be true. But what is also true is that at our core, we are all beginning to learn more what empathy really is. And I think that's really going to be locked with this new solar eclipse that we're going to be having on Thursday. But as far as today goes, with the moon in Gemini, it's definitely want to make things really chatty, want to keep things light, not really dive too deep into things. But it's interesting enough that we have Jupiter going direct today in Scorpio. And the interesting thing about this is that, Jupiter in many ways, it represents our belief structure, it represents knowledge. Its ruler it rules Sagittarius, which is opposite of Gemini. That's where the moon is. So, and the moon will actually be making a quincunx over to Jupiter. So I think what this is that Jupiter in Scorpio was dealing with our trust issues and our boundaries issues, and looking to expand upon those. The boundaries that we keep on ourselves, the blocks that we keep on ourselves, and whether or not we can really trust ourselves to move forward. Trust ourselves to actually go for our desires. And I don't think that desires are the root of evil. I don't think that desires are inherently bad. You wouldn't have desires if they were bad. In fact, there's no real such thing as good or bad. There's just high vibrational, low vibrational. So I guess you can, definitely have lower vibrational desires. But what Jupiter retrograde was teaching us is about, what happens when we go for these low vibrational, desires, and how that might actually place boundaries on us as far as our spiritual evolution. Because we've got to think that Jupiter in many ways also represents spirituality. Because if you think about it, Jupiter was a traditional ruler of Pisces energy before Neptune was discovered. And Neptune and Pisces is all about spirituality and us connected to the divine. So it's interesting how we have that energy going on. And I want you to even think about this, how Mars was a traditional ruler of Scorpio. So it's like, it's interesting because Mars is all about, the self, the ego, personality. It's the action energy and how we get things done. And it being a traditional ruler of Scorpio, it's kind of interesting because it's like, that's sort of like the energy where it's like, I seriously will fight for my friends. So what we are learning is empathy, because I don't think that the people within the lightworker community or the spiritual community or whatever I call you, those people who are waking up or walking the spiritual path, I don't think they would be doing it if they didn't feel some type of resistance or resilience to the way things are. And the thing is that since more and more people are waking up, it just goes to the fact that also we are actually answering the call. Because the people who are really lost, and we all have been lost from time to time, but the people who are really lost, who are really just like steeped in these lower vibrational desires, the fact of the matter is that their soul, at the deepest level, maybe you can barely hear it, but it's crying out for help. And that's why there's such a response right now from people. That's why there's such a response from this spiritual community. That's why there's such a response for us to wake up so we can help each other. Help our fellow brothers and sisters. Help our fellow brothers and sisters in the animal kingdom. Help the plants. Help Gaia. Help our brothers and sisters beyond this physical plane. We are really being called to step into our truer self, a higher vibrational desire where we create a sanctuary for all. It's funny, my foot is actually buzzing right now. I just felt a vibration in my foot. And I think what this is that with this moon quincunxing Jupiter, it's like, I think of the quincunx as like an awkward look, from across the room. And I think what's happening is that on a deep level, we were actually beginning to drop all of these preconceived notions that we've had of each other and all of these judgments that we've had of each other. The interesting thing about Scorpio 2 that I want to talk about is that since Mars was a traditional ruler of Scorpio before Pluto was discovered, and Mars really represents the self, think about what that means. Because Scorpio is the energy of death and rebirth. So literally, when the energy reaches Scorpio, our self, the self that we have conceived or that we've been taught to believe, that we believe ourselves to be and perceive, actually goes to die. Because we are so much more expansive than that. Jupiter in Sagittarius is wanting to expand upon that. It's wanting to show you that there is so much more to you than meets the eye. Which is interesting because it's like when Mars gets to Scorpio, it kind of wants to hold on and it has trust issues. It wonders, it's like walking in the sand on the beach and looking back and your footprints are gone because the waves have washed it away. And you wanting to hold on to that. But the only thing that is constant is change. And people are afraid to have the self die. And it's not really so much that the self is dying, it's our perception of what the self is that is dying. Because the fact of the matter is that you're going to take many shapes and forms after this lifetime. And there are so many facets to you. So you're a kaleidoscope of color, patterns, vibrations, music, geometry. You're a kaleidoscope of that. So I think what's ending with this Jupiter finally going direct is us having these deep trust issues. And it may take a while for this to materialize in the world. It may take hundreds of years, but it's beginning now with this direct, and it's coming home, baby. And I'm not talking about the England fans talking about the World Cup. I'm talking about Jupiter coming home to Sag. It's coming home. It's coming home. I drew cards before going to the reading, and normally I shuffle the cards and draw it during the reading, but it's interesting what came up. I drew 3 cards. I drew the Ten of Swords, I drew Silver, which is Be Persistent, and I drew Finding Sanctuary. The Ten of Swords speaks of just that. We're bringing something to an end. And that's these old limiting beliefs and these doubts that there's not enough to go around, that we can't create heaven on earth, and that we can't get along. Because these are just all things that we have told ourselves for hundreds of years. But the fact of the matter is that if we told ourselves these things, then we can also tell ourselves that we are worthy, that we can get along, that we can create a world that is a sanctuary for all. The beautiful thing about us is that we are very resilient. We are very persistent. This is silver. Silver comes right before gold, right? And everyone wants to strive for gold. Everyone wants to strive for gold. But there's something to be said about silver. There's something to be said about the vibration of never giving up. There's something to be said about the vibration of the silver lining, and that no matter how dark and gloomy things may get, no matter what they try to make us perceive through the various media outlets that the world is fucked up, that it's going to shit, that this side is wrong and this side is right. That we are actually very resilient. We are a very resilient species. And we may fuck up. We may trip. We may falter. But we are very resilient. And I think that is apparent because every single year, incredible, beautiful souls are born into this world. And it's happening for a reason. There's a lot of attention here for a reason. So it's our persistence that's going to carry us through. And we're going to find our sanctuary. It says, opening to your spiritual source. We can create a sanctuary for all, but it comes by opening up your spiritual source. Opening up your connection to spirit. There's nothing wrong with being inspired by other people, being motivated by other people, gurus, spiritual teachers, the like. But that's really Pisces energy. And we're shifting into the age of Aquarius, where it's about more or less sharing. It's more or less about appreciating the uniqueness in all of us. It's more about everybody has some great divine knowledge to give. But we will only find that by coming within ourselves, by opening up to our own spiritual source. And everybody has that connection. So when Jupiter goes direct, you're definitely going to feel a spark. You're going to feel a little bit of firepower, even though it is in Scorpio. But I like to think Scorpio as, out of the water signs, it's the most fiery and it's also the most icy at the same time. Because there, on one hand, you can be all fired up because of the cold ruled by Mars. And then other times it can get really icy and really cold, right? But with this Jupiter going direct, and we can feel it in our consciousness. It's coming home, baby. It's coming home. Jupiter is coming home. Adventure beckons. And it's calling us to really believe and to trust that even though change is the only thing that's constant, and even though things may seem out of whack right now, that things are actually in perfect divine order. That is it for your reading today. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe, and tap the bell so you can receive all the notifications I put out on this channel. I would really appreciate it. And if you would like a personal reading with me, you can follow the link in the description below too, theaquarianadepts.com. And always remember, my beautiful brothers and sisters, my fellow adepts, to keep moving forward, to stay focused, and Yahoo! Smile often.